Rush Limbaugh gave his wit and wisdom to bless the lives of many Americans. You can hear some of that wit and wisdom here on the James A. Hendricks School of Leadership. Hey guys, happy Monday. I hope you guys are having a blessed weekend. I had a glorious weekend. And I have to say, even though things look bleak in some ways, as far as the political landscape, I have decided, and I decided this Saturday, it's becoming more apparent to me today, because of how the news is ticking me off and affecting my mental health. And we'll talk about mental health tomorrow. Okay, I guaranteed, because I think it does need to be addressed. I have decided to not report anything politically unless it's earth-shattering until January 3rd. And you might say, well, Jimmy, why are you doing that? There's still results out on the elections. You want to know the truth why? Because I'm sick and tired of the pundits and talking heads trying to interpret what happened. To be honest with you, I'd much rather look at the damn results than just sit there and, both sides pontificating on what went wrong. In fact, I have made a commitment to myself to stop watching the news until January, okay? And so we may not talk that much about politics. And in fact, I think for the rest of the year, we may talk about what this podcast is truly about. Leadership. Now, this is where we're going to go to town. This is where we're going to have a little fun. I want to talk to you about leadership and networking. The relationship. And there is a true correlation. I've heard many people that tout success say your net worth determines your net worth. And so, in many ways, I have kept this podcast strictly news. And to be honest with you, because all of the TV news and some of the audio podcasts are doing is, quite frankly, pissing off everybody. I don't want no part of it for a while. Because when this past week, when I saw the talking heads, in on both sides of the aisle, complaining that the election didn't go exactly like they wanted, I started getting depressed. And finally, yesterday at church, my ministering brother, just as we were walking to church, he's like, you know what? And I'm going to say this. To hell with the elections right now. I don't want to sit there and interpret the elections, because life goes on. I'd much rather talk about the linkage between leadership and networking. I look at what's going on with me at Toastmasters right now. Sometimes I want to pinch myself to see whether I'm dreaming. Because I didn't think that Toastmasters would ever carry me this far. Yeah, that's right, guys. I'm going there. I'm going to promote Toastmasters. I'm going to tell you something. That place is any club you go to, virtually or in person, and I prefer in person. Any club you go there, it's like an incubator to teach you communications and leadership. And those are the things, with the communications comes networking. So see, this is something where we can have a little fun. I can sit there and hiss and moan about what's going on politically. And I hear some conservatives do that, and I want to say, shut up. Be grateful for what we do have. Okay? Because I'll be honest with you. We're not going to win arguments by continually pissing people off, even people on our own side. So, this is where I turn more federalist and talk about some other things that really matter. This is where I discuss leadership and networking. Guys, this can be fun. This can be fun. Okay, I think of all the success gurus over time. John Maxwell is one of those people. Oh, I love John Maxwell. I really do. I think Jim Rohn is excellent in talking about leadership. And while we're talking about leadership and networking, and I know some people are going to think you've lost your mind. I don't want to hear you no more. Let's talk about network marketing. And somebody is like, oh, Jimmy, I'm going to start the podcast. I don't want to go any further with this. No, please hear me out. I'm beginning to be passionate about it again. Because many of you know, in addition to podcasting, I want to be a professional speaker. But the sad thing is, and some speakers don't get it, the speak to get a check model, I really feel like it's still, it's getting obsolete. And there are other ways, because I've listened to other speakers. I've listened to some people who's like, it's speak to get a check or nothing else. But I've also heard people say, hey, no. Do this so you can sell your products on the back end. And I like that better, and that's where network marketing. See, leadership and networking, I gotta say, it's got a hell of a correlation. And I don't want you to just take my word for it, okay? Other political podcast shows, I hear some people say, well, am I right or am I right? I'm not going to be one of those people. I may ask sometimes to prove a point, but I don't pretend myself to have any superiority, okay? I've nowhere arrived to be considered a leadership guru, but it is something I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about leading conservative federalists, such as myself. Yes, I am a Trump supporter, but not so fanatical to the point that in our party we can't work together because we're not getting our own way. And so that's why I like groups like Toastmasters and my church. It's a place I can step in and be apolitical. Isn't that what we want to be? Instead of sitting there, oh, woe is me. Oh, woe is me, the elections didn't go the way we thought it should have. Oh, woe is me, these people are driving me crazy. No. You're driving yourself crazy. Shut off the news. Why don't you guys read some books and stuff? Let me tell you something. Even on YouTube, sadly, the news is everywhere. And so I was talking to my best friend yesterday. He said, instead of just looking at the things that they recommend, sometimes it's best to just do searches about things that you're passionate about. And check your subscriptions that don't have anything to do with the news. And that's why I think having some topics about leadership and networking, some generic things. I gotta say this, I'm very passionate about that. And you say, well, Jimmy, how did you develop this passion for leadership? Well, let's see. my studies in political science. See, my political science training taught me that you don't have to be reactionary about your ideology. In fact, to even the lay political scientists, it's a real turnoff. Okay? And so sometimes, like now, sadly, because of how things are, I feel like I've got to shut off talking about the political news. Unless we get some definites about the elections. And I may just say it in passing because, well, quite frankly, at least until January, it's like I've told friends, I'm done with giving political analysis on my show when it seems like the news anymore is just the same recycled crap all over again. I'm sorry, but that's news. That's not news. Now, if we know some policy that Congress is thinking about doing, and yeah, that's news. But listening or reading up about COVID-19 for the umpteenth time, there's people that do that, and if you do that and listen to the James A. Hendricks School of Leadership, I'm sorry to say this, but shame on you. I call COVID-19 the devil virus, and why are we giving him the glory? When we got better things that we can be talking about. Now, I don't mean to be so hard, and I'm sorry. Some of you may feel that I'm being hard, but I'm just telling you what I see. What I see is very obvious, if not very sad. You know, and I'm sorry to see this. I'm sorry to say that. But that's why I enjoy talking about things. You know, I think leaders who want to be successful, they network with the right people. They don't fart around and, oh, COVID-19 doesn't nothing else. Be afraid. The elections ain't going the way we want. Let's all get together. Let's all get pissed off. No. There's people like me and you that at some point you got to shut it off and say, hey, there's better things to do. Now, I could easily say, well, I'm going on suspensions. But I was talking to my brother-in-law this weekend, and he said, Jimmy, quite frankly, why do you want to go on suspensions when you can just talk about other topics besides politics? He said, you got that business mind, so why don't you go ahead and talk about other things that you're passionate about. And to be honest with you, I think all leaders should network in order to grow their organization, to grow their net worth. We all have a chance to do these things and put an impact on people's lives. That's the most important thing right now, okay? Not seeing which group we're going to alienate this week. Okay? Because I'll tell you something. People that are doing that on both sides of the aisle, it makes this blind dude here that is meek and mild want to cane somebody. Okay? So, that's why, until January 3rd, you will not hear me talk about politics. I'm going to talk about matters of leadership. You know, that's the most important part of my show, is shine the light. Shine the light. We can sit there and focus on the darkness all the time. What good's that going to do when we can shine the light? join me on my quest in this, okay? Of people that are sick and tired of watching or listening to news, and they're just getting their heart hurt because of how pulverizing it is. Now, I hope you enjoy listening to the James A. Hendricks School of Leadership. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the James A. Hendricks School of Leadership Classroom. This is Jimi Hendrix, and until next time, take care and be proactively informed. Tomorrow, I want to talk about a sensitive subject, but it's going to be, kind of a step back. We're going to be talking about mental health, openness to mental health. Take care, be proactively informed, and God bless you guys.